Hello and welcome back to Fenton Gaming Plays Divinity Original Sin 1 Enhanced Edition. I'm your host Fenton. In this Divinity Original Sin 1 Enhanced Edition new player guide, I'll show you all the tips and tools on how to survive starting out in this game. As always, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Do not forget to hit the notification bell to be updated more. So, you're wondering, wait a second, how come it's my turn? What's this bar on top? Why these enemies want to kill me? I do not know what to do. Don't panic. Help is on the way. In Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition, there are a total of 4 difficulties. So let's go ahead and go over them. First one is Explorer Mode. This is the lowest of the lowest difficulty. You get buffed up. Combat is not challenging at all. This is for beginners for RPGs. Also tactical RPGs too. Now Classic Mode, this is your normal mode difficulty. There'll be some toughness in it. It's a lot more tougher than Explorer Mode, I'll tell you that. Great way for beginners. Now, Tactician Mode is a huge step up in difficulty from Classic Mode. It's about the same for combat in some aspects. There's other aspects they add more stuff in the combat, even foes too. This is a much more tougher difficulty, not for the weak. Last but not least, Honor difficulty. It's exactly like Tactician Mode except for one thing. Your party has 1 life. If your entire party wipes out, game over. You could revive them. For example, half your party gets wiped, but it has to make sure your 2 source hunters has to be alive. My advice for difficulty, Explorer Mode and Classic Mode if you are starting out in this game. As soon as you pick the difficulty, you're on your way to create your character. So I'm going to go over the class thing. Now, class thing gives you a preset of weapons and also skills too. My advice for using the class thing exactly is just pick whatever one you want to focus on. For example, if you want to be more like a Shadow Blade, that's a one-handed weapon, one hand, and a dagger, well, pick that. I would not say accept at all. Instead, just go ahead and customize the character all the way through. There's so many options you could do in this game. Also, so many ways you could succeed too. Now, for this video, I'm going to go with the old Shadow Blade on Scarlet. Felt like I'm used to that. I could tinker into that very easily. Yeah, there's a Knight too. That's a good one. Rangers are very nice with bow and arrow. It's a small one. You don't see it. So let me get to the Shadow Blade. After that, I'll definitely go over stats. So once you're done with that, you can pick your voice, AI. I'm going to say no on AI personality because sometimes AI messes up. You want to be in control. So let's go ahead and talk about the stats. I'm just going to go ahead and take care of this first. Now there's a total of 6 stats in the game. First of all, strength determines your offensive ratings, improves your man-at-arms skills, how much you could carry, and also how much you could throw. This is very great. I'm going to be blunt and honest with melee weapons, especially the two-handed kind. So more strength you have, more damage you could do. This is also a great stat for your crafting mules. I'll briefly touch upon that again in this video when we get to the crafting section. Now, dexterity turns your offensive range with dexterity-based weapons. That includes bows and arrows. It improves your expert marksman and scoundrel skills, and some of your defensive skills. Now, if you're going either daggers, which is heavily in dexterity, or bows/crossbows, this is a stat you want to pump up all the way. Now, intelligence improves your elemental and witchcraft spells, also offensive range with intelligent-based weapons like wands and staffs. This is great if you're more focused into spell casting, like for instance, water, fire, earth, and air, especially witchcraft. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next one. Constitution increases your vitality, aka your hit points, aka your life, and your maximum number of action points. This is really good if you want to boost up your action points big time. And if you couple that with strength, oh, it's really nice. Also couple that with speed too, and you're a beast. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next one, speed. Increase your movement speed, initiative, and how many action points you can gain per turn. This is another great stat, especially with the action point regeneration and movement. This is actually perfect if you're more into daggers or dual-handing daggers, which is really nice. You can move around the battlefield much more than anybody else. Perception does is increase your critical chance, initiative, spot things that you cannot see, action points you start in combat, and of course much more, including shooting long distance. This is great for like your rangers. So our next part will be the skills. Next up is the skill. After you pick your attributes, okay, stats, we're gonna go over it now. Bow is does this more points in the bow, increases your damage of the bow. Now in Divinity Original Sin 1, bows are king for you ranger types. Yeah, this is a very good skill to pick. Now the other spectrum is the crossbow, increases your critical chance and critical damage against foes. Now crossbows are alright, but they're not that great in this game. Still, if you want to use it, go ahead and put points into it. This couples well with marksmanship. You'll see coming up. Dual wielding, this does is more points in dual wielding, less damage penalties, and also less of the cost of your action points. This is very good if you're holding two daggers, holding a dagger and a one-handed weapon in each hand. Now single-handed does is more damage. You do that means you have more points into it. This does not apply to dual wielding. In other words, you got to have one sword in one hand, no shield or anything like that. I think it is, and just swing away. So let's go ahead and do two-handed. Now two-handed, more points into that, increase your critical chance and critical multiplier. This is a very good melee skill to have. Medora, in fact, has some nice points into it. I'll talk about more of her a little bit. Now wands, more points in the wands, more damage you could do in your main hand, and also which is very good. So if you're more into spell casting instead of some of the other skills, this is a pretty decent one to pick. I'll probably say avoid because you still use melee weapons. Now defense, armor specialist, more points into that, more movement you could have, and also another thing is increase your armor rating. I'm gonna be blunt. At one point with crafting weapons and armor, yeah, that armor AC is about 100 you could get without armor specialist. Now body building is protects you against certain effects, like for example burning, bleeding, crippling, and more. This is very good to build up towards the end. Shield specialist increases your chance of blocking when using a shield. So if those of you who like to use shields, this is a good skill to have. Now, next up after shield specialist, I'm going to just leave this there for 1-2 more seconds, is willpower. Now, this protects you against charmed, stun, decaying touch. This is a good defensive skill, just like bodybuilding. I say build it up towards the end. Now, for the next set will be skills in the magic department and other aspects. Now, this one is you could do more damage with air magic, so more points into that. More skills you get to use. At level 4, you can use 1 mastery. At level 5, you can use 2. Expert marksman. More points in the expert marksman. More damage you can do with expert marksman skills. Again, 4 and 5 will get you mastery skills in that. So it's pretty good for you ranger types. Now, geomancer, you do more earth damage. Now, the arrow one, you do air damage. This one's earth. Exactly the same as the other one, except for just earth damage, and of course 4 or 5 you get mastery skills out of it. Now after that, hydro, do water damage, and there's some healing into it. Oh yes, you can heal with this skill. Again, level 4 and 5 you get mastery skills you get to use. Very good skill, very useful. It's one of the most powerful magics in the game. Now man-at-arms is more points in man-at-arms. More damage you could do with man-at-arms skills. It's a very good skill. If you have a two-handed weapon, you couple that together, oh, you do some nice damage. You have high strength, this is the way to go. Now the pyro one does fire damage. It really does some nice fire stuff. So once again, more points into it, more fire damage you could do, lesser the cost, just like the other ones I just talked about. Next one is scoundrel. This one's really useful. This will deal with, for example, invisibility and winged feet. One of the two, I should say, the two most useful skills in the entire game. You get 4 or 5, again, mastery skills. Extremely useful. Always have a scoundrel in a party. Witchcraft, you could debuff your foes, summon the undead, and do some more nasty stuff to people. Again, at level 4 and 5, you get to do mastery skills, which is really nice. Now, next up is personality. Bartering. More points in the bartering, more things go your way for shops. I'm going to advise saying if you really want to put points in the bartering, don't. Just instead look for crafting items or items with bartering in it. Now, charisma, more points in the charisma. More likely you win that rock, paper, scissors mini game. In other words, things will definitely go your way. Again, get some charisma items and you're good to go. Now, next up, this one's really useful. Leadership. More points in the leadership, more buffs you can give to your party members. Extremely useful. You get that up to 5, that's fine. Put like a leadership hat on you. You get up to 6, you do a lot more buffs for your party members. Now, Lucky Charm increases you finding extra treasure and also your offensive rating. Again, just like bartering and charisma, just look for Lucky Charm items if you want to go that route. Now, next up is craftsmanship. Let me explain. Now, blacksmithing, more points in the blacksmithing, more you could craft in the blacksmithing department. My advice is don't do it on your main characters or your 2 party members you're using. Instead, anyone else you're not using, turn them into crafting mules. Trust me, crafting is king towards the end. Now, crafting, more points in the crafting, just like blacksmith, the more you can make. Again, just make sure you have a crafting mule character. You get to craft some things. Now, next up is Lore Master. Now, Lore Master, more points in the Lore Master, more you can identify items. 5's the actual cap in the game for identifying items. Again, if you want to save money, make a crafting mule, then put some points into that. Next up is telekinesis. More points in telekinesis, more items you could get from a very, very safe distance. Again, just get some items with telekinesis in it and you're good to go. Yeah, let's go ahead and do the next set. That's called the Nasty Deeds. Lockpicking, more points on lockpicking, more locks you can unlock. In this game, there's not much lock chests, so I avoid or make a lock picking character. That's my advice on that. Now, next up is pickpocketing. More points on pickpocketing, more you can pickpocket. Again, if you're really serious about pickpocketing, just look for some items to get some for pickpocketing. You're only going to be pickpocketing at least once or twice in the game, and that is it, actually. Last but not least is sneaking. Now, more points in sneaking, less likely you'll be seen. However, sneaking mechanics are alright, but I'd probably say is pass on it. You're really not going to sneak through most of the game. There's 1 or 2 sections you will sneak, but that's about it. And plus, you could cast invisibility from the air tree or the scoundrel tree, and you're invisible, and you're good to go anyways. Now, my final advice for skill is pick which one you're building your character on. Like, for example, marksman, go for that. Now, next up is talents. I'm going to give everybody one simple advice on talents. Otherwise, this will be a 50-minute video plus. Pick Pet Pal. Make sure one of your characters have Pet Pal in it, because reason being is this. You talk to animals, there are some questions you could get out of it. You could get some good information too. So pick that from one talent that is very important for your character to create as source hunters. That's about it for talents. I'm going to get to the next part of the video. You're almost done setting up your character. So for skills and spells, my simple advice is, for example, Geo I did with spiders, this way I could summon help at the start. Yeah, summonings are great until the halfway point of the game, then it tapers off. Now I have Midnight Oil plus Flare to do some really nice damage combinations. So pick whatever skill you want to be comfortable with. One advice is teleport is really useful. Let's go ahead and just finish up character creation. My final advice before sending you off into the game world is just finalize everything. Make sure everything is your way. Once it is, then get ready to go. Let's get to the next section, traits. The next part of this guide is all about traits. The only way you could get trait points is through dialogue. Let's go over it. Now, pragmatic, if you have 1 point in that, that means you have crafting by 1. If you're more of a crafting character, go ahead and be more pragmatic. I advise going the other way. Now, the other way from pragmatic is romantic. You get 1 point in lucky charm. I'm going to advise definitely going for that for both source hunters. And yeah, only your source hunters could get traits. Next up is independent. That means your willpower is increased by 1. So more independent points, more you keep that willpower at 1. The other one's obedient. That means you get willpower as long as you have a leader in the party or someone with leadership. So if you have no one with leadership skill, something like that, this is very useless. Now, a 2-stick does this give you 2 points of reputation. Very nice to have, so this way you get some nice discounts in shops and more. Now, the other one is ecological. This one gives you 1 point in bartering, so if you want to be more of a barbering character, yeah, this is alright to do. I say a 2-stick is better. Next one's Compassionate. This will give you a critical chance to crease up. Very, very good to have. Now the other opposite side is Heartless. Will give you a 20% chance to hit. For backstabbing, if you don't have the backstab talent, this is useless. So definitely go with Compassionate. Now Righteous does this, gives you leadership skill increased by 1. Really useful in this department. So the opposite of that is Renegade. You get your pickpocket increased by 1. Again, you're only going to use pickpocket 2 or 3 times in the game. That's about it, really. So after that is Bold. Now, if you're bold, your initiative goes up by 1. Pretty good to have those. This way you get advantage in combat. Now, the other side of that is Cautious. This will increase your sneaking by 1. Again, there's a few times you'll sneak, but the invisibility slash walk in shadow skill is much better. Now, Forgiving. This will make you immune to Curse. Extremely useful to have. Now, opposite side of Forgiving is Vindictive. This will give you a 20% chance of hit when you have the attack of opportunity. Again, if you don't have the talent, you're not going to have attacks of opportunity. Go with Forgiving. Spiritual, this does it makes you immune to fear. Another immunity, really useful for your 2 source hunters. I mean, come on, you want that. Opposite side is Materialistic. This will give you Lore Master by 1. Again, you're going to be using your crafting mule for Lore Master skills. Next up is Blunt. This is immune to charm. Extremely useful. If you're blunt, no more charm spells on your source hunter. You want that. Considerate. This will give you 1 point of charisma. Again, you could definitely use crafting gear or items to boost up that charisma. And that's about it for the traits. The world of Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition can be a very dangerous place. Save your game. That's my big advice. Save often, save early. Save when you want to go ahead and craft. This way, if you craft something bad, load your game up. Save your game when you want to talk to an NPC or interact with an object. So this way you get the desired trait point you want. So remember, save the game. In Divinity Original Sin 1 Enhanced Edition, there are choices, and some of those choices leads at times to the rock, paper, scissors mini game. My advice on that is save before doing that. If you have charisma gear, go ahead and wear it, and then pick 1 of 3 choices to help you out. Otherwise, just hit the space bar on PC version or some certain button on the console version. Now, I did was read a journal. Choices sometimes do lead to trait choices. So I'm picking, for example, romantic choices that will go with my trait I am aiming for. My final advice on this is very simple. Aim for the trait that you want big time. Load if you don't like the results. Let's go over the user interface. So user interface for the most part is really simple and easy. A bit clunky, I admit, on the console version. So I just hit the I key on the PC version, opens up my inventory. From there you get to use items. You could put items in backpacks. You could transfer items over. You could read certain items and also double click on the PC version to eat. So you definitely want to do, if you want to be really organized with the backpack, is go ahead and select certain items. Like for example, Roderick should be using arrows, and of course Scarlet should be using grenades. Now, in order to drag a certain item over, just simply drag it to your the said item from the inventory to the hotbar. There is 5 total spaces for the hotbar, which is really useful. Now the attributes slash stats here, this is where all your stats are at. Red means it's down, blue means it's up. This here is sight. In other words, more sight, more you can see your foes. This is really good, especially for rangers and ranged weapon users. So next part is hearing. More you have in hearing, more you can hear foes coming towards you. So in other words, if they're stealthy, they make noise, you can hear them. Now this next one is movement. More points in movement, more you can move in 1 action point. Extremely useful, especially those with high speed. So initiative, this means you get to go first in combat. So higher the initiative, more likely you'll go first. Sometimes enemies will have the higher initiative, so be careful on that. Now in this section is your current experience points. Next level means it's the next level experience points you need to get. You fill that up, you get a level up. Now this section is your damage. So more better weapons or bows you can find, that higher it goes. That's your armor rating. Again, higher the better armor you equip, the better the armor rating goes up. Depends, of course, what stats you have too. Now blocking, of course, if you have a shield, that number will be really high up there. Critical chances is a higher the number, more chance you get a critical hit. And that is a good thing. Also, it tells you a critical multiplier too. This is your offensive rating. Higher number than that, more damage you get to do. Now, I'm penalized because I'm dual wielding with Scarlet, unfortunately. Yeah, watch out for the red. This is your defensive rating. Now, more points in your defensive rating, more likely you get to, take less damage. This is your vitality. Your vitality drops to 0, you're dead. You need a resurrection scroll in order to get back to life. Now, after your vitality is done, I'm showing, this is it here. It's your action points. The first section is your base one. Next one is your starting out one. And then the third section is your turns. So if you have good charisma and speed, yeah, that'll be really up there. So also same thing with perception too. This is your reputation. Higher reputation, more likely the NPCs will definitely love you. That's a good thing. Now this is your resistance. You start out with 0. Eventually you will find items, get your high resistance. This is where your gear is at, so you could drag it and equip it. Not that hard to do, especially on the console version. See, I'm going to demonstrate it now. I'm taking off the chest piece. Now I'm going to go ahead and put that back, and voila, it changes. Now that's your skills there. Depends how many points you have. The more you get to use. This is your talents right here. This is where it's at. This is your traits. So I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead towards the skill book section and, of course, the crafting section. Okay, now I'm going to give advice one more time. Make sure you have enough skill points in order to use a book. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait. So learning a skill is real simple. Make sure you buy the said book. Double click or right click and hit learn skill. There you go. Now we learn the skill. And of course, if it's all full, we just drag out what we call icon that's useless and then put an icon that's in. See, that's simple. That's really easy. And I think on the PC version, it's K to get the skill book. Now, for the crafting part, it's real simple. Hit the crafting bar. This is your recipes that you either learn from a book. Yes, read. It's very important. Or you experiment. Yeah, you can experiment. You get some good combinations. As always, save your game before crafting too, so let's get to the next section of this guide. The next part in this video is, you guessed it, movement, highlighting items on the ground, the search, and the map system. Also, I'll briefly touch over journals when we do get to questing. There you go. So I did was I hit the left Alt key on the PC version to highlight certain items, like for example shells. Now on the console version, you also get a nice little bubble that's like a search thing that gets all items pop up at once in one area. Then you can loot them up like quickly. It's also easy to click on said box, and then there's an icon that says loot all. Do that. See, I already did that and got things over. Now, as for combat, in case you want to just start it by yourself or attacking something, that is the left control button. It's different on the console version. Now, I believe it's C for stealth. Pretty useful. We'll touch up more about stealth later on, so let's talk about the mapping system. As for mapping, that is real easy. Yellow icon, that means it's your main quest. White icon is your side quest. The purple thing, that's your waypoints. Also, you can make your own marks, which is the yellow one, which is pretty good. So this way you can remember places, or if you cannot do something now, you could go ahead and do something later on. Always use the map. There's also dialogue, secrets, and logs too. If you want to investigate in those tabs, that's about it for this part. Let's get to the next section of this guide. At times, you could go straight into combat or use the other method, sneaking by. Sneaking is real simple. Hit the C key on the PC version. Just sneak like I am. Just keep on going. Now, there's enemy highlights. In other words, if the screen is not gray, just watch out. That's their line of sight. So do be careful on that, everyone. See, there's the line of sight. We just avoided a possible combat. If you do not want to do the first fight at all, well, you could bypass it just by sneaking. Sometimes you can sneak on by, use invisibility skill or potion. Other times you're forced into combat. So let me explain. So when combat starts, the person with the highest initiative is on the most left screen. Then of course that person goes away. Then the next person. So Mysterious Leader goes first, Scarlet goes second, Roderick goes third, and there's 2 casters. So my advice about combat is simple. Plan ahead on your moves. If there's like anything like, for example, Oil Slick, use fire. If you see poison or ooze, definitely use fire. That's an example. Use whatever skills necessary to use to win. If things are trouble, there is the retreat button, aka the flee button. Just remember that. And when you use a skill, there's a yellow circle sometimes, like for example I did with Midnight Oil. And then if your turn, you need to wait your turn, then go. The bars above the hot bar, those are your action points you could use. So when you run out all action points, it goes to the next turn. You can also store action points like I did. See, I'm using the environment and their weakness to win the battle. So keep your cool, watch your AP, and if you need to retreat, go ahead and do so. Divinity Original Sin 1 Enhanced Edition can be a very dangerous place. So at times you definitely want to watch out for traps. If you have a trap disarm kit, go ahead and right click on said trap and use it. Watch out for environmental damage. Yes, you could use telekinesis to move certain items. If you have higher strength, you get to move more. So definitely remember that. Also, you could pick locked chests. If you have the key, go ahead and use it. Just watch on the world. Watch out for lava. It could definitely kill you. I'm going to give everybody a tip about lava on how to abuse it against certain foes. Now, if any foes are not 100% immune to fire, use teleport, then drop them off at lava. Explore the area. If you have high perception, there's hidden mountains you could dig up. Just remember that. Otherwise, have fun exploring. This game is really fun when you explore a lot of places. Let's go ahead and speak about environmental effects. So, for example, I'm shooting the barrel that is water. I'm going to try to douse out the fire. So water plus fire equals smoke. Smoke means is enemies cannot shoot through it. You cannot shoot through it. In other words, they won't be able to see you. Take full advantage of the environmental effects. So I'm going to go ahead and show you all a chart right now and go over every single one of them. Let's go over the environmental effects. Blood equals anything living bleeds. Watch out for that. Blood or water plus ice equals frozen surface. You don't have immunity to slip. You can slip and be knocked down for a few rounds. Blood or water plus electric. That means anybody walks through it, they get stunned. Certain fire skills or items can create fire circuits that can lead to burning. Oil plus fire equals fire surface. Oil can slow movement and cause less AP. So watch out for that when you're walking through oil. And it's real dangerous if someone casts fire. Lava can kill anyone without 100% fire resistance, so you could drop foes in the lava that don't have 100% fire resistance. Ooze can be created by certain earth spells and certain zombies. Ooze plus fire equals explosion. Walking on ooze can poison you. Now, walking through poison clouds can poison you. Now, poison cloud plus fire equals explosion damage. Smoke can block your line of sight, so watch out for that. Fire plus water equals steam. So let me go ahead and tell everybody what steam does. So steam does it makes a fog of war, so just do be careful, it can hinder your line of sight. Steam plus electric equals shocking cloud. Anybody walks through the cloud can get stunned. Tornado skill can get rid of many of the environmental effects. That includes lava. Now wet, that means when you get this status, that's 30% chance of being stunned, negative 20 air resistance, and plus 10% fire resistance. So watch out for being wet, or if you're walking through rain, you'll get the wet stat. So let's go to the next weather one. Chilled, minus 44 on movement, minus 10 water resistance, plus 10 fire resistance. Now wet plus chill equals frozen. When you're frozen, you cannot move until it wears off, so do be careful. Now sandstorm, minus 64 on movement. However, your AP takes a hit for negative 4 starting AP, minus 4 maximum AP, minus 4 recovery AP. Haste skill or immunity slow boots can get rid of this. Get those boots. Now warm, negative 10 on fire resistance, plus 10% on water. warm times 2, you're on fire. So that's it about for the environmental effects. So let's go ahead and talk about dialogue and how to take advantage of it. Now for a dialogue, sometimes when you talk to friendly NPCs or certain ones, there's a icon, well, you could buy and sell from them too. Some will actually be shops. Other times you will be forced to play the RPS game. Like I said before, hit the spacebar skip. And other times you're forced into combat. So what I did was I have someone talking, select someone that is not talking, and move at this spot. So I know very well we're about to fight, so I set up my ranger at this spot, so this way he could take full advantage from a far distance. So if you get to a dialogue like that, one person's talking, separate 1 to 3 of your party members, so this way you take a nice advantage of the battlefield your way. When you do have enough experience points, it's time to level, so select the character you want to hit the leveling up, hit the I button. Sometimes you will get attributes / stats, other times talents, and then once in a while you just get skill points. Now when you start out you get 1 skill point, and then at a certain point you get 2 skill points, 3, and so on. Now skill points, they cost, like for example 0 to 1 cost 1 skill point, 2 costs 2, 3 costs 3, 4 costs 4, and 5 costs 5. 5 is the cap you could do. So plan your character leveling up wisely. I'm going to give everybody some beginner tips on how to make money and of course stealing. Now normally in other games crime doesn't pay. Well, guess what? Crime definitely pays. So I'm at the King Crab Inn on the 2nd floor. You're going to need 1 point in Scoundrel to actually pull this off. So you want to speak to this vendor. She will sell you Scoundrel skill books. You're looking for only one to buy. That is Walk in Shadows. Go ahead and purchase it. Yeah, we're going to purchase it for a very cheap price. After that, go ahead and learn the skill. So we're going to learn it on Scarlet, and voila, there you go. Now, next part of town, I'm going to show you a nice place, for example, to steal. You guessed it, paintings. So in order to steal, you probably have to be sneaky and then try to do line of sight. That's a little bit impossible in the center of town. However, with the invisibility spell, or in this case, Walk in Shadows, well, you're going to not have that line of sight problem. In fact, you're going to be fully invisible. So I cast that on Scarlet. Now the red icon, that means it's an item you could steal. Be careful if it wears off, you get caught stealing, you take a reputation hit. Now you can also steal and pickpocket if you have enough points in pickpocketing. So I stole the guy's painting. We're going to go ahead and sell it to him. So inside seal, go ahead and steal everything that is not locked down. Also, if you craft, for example, empty bottles plus wine, that's another way to make money too. Same thing with crafting, but I advise against crafting, but stealing is the way to go to make some serious money early on. And Divinity Original Sin 1 Enhanced Edition crafting is seriously powerful. As long as you have enough crafting points, you will definitely craft some good items. My advice on crafting is level 9, 15 through 17 for your second crafting. These are like weapons, maybe armor, and level 20 plus, craft everything. So crafting is very easy. For example, we're going to drag this knife to the anvil, and we just craft ourselves a nice dagger. You want to learn a recipe from books, so this way it'll be easier for you to craft. So yeah, read certain books. Also experiment too. That helps you out greatly. So craft your heart out, and one more thing. Make sure you make a crafting mule. Now, I put in the description my crafting video guide for greater details on how to actually succeed in crafting in Divinity Original Sin 1 Enhanced Edition. So let's go ahead and talk about the next topic. I am going to go ahead and tell everybody on how the shop system works and give you a little bit of advice after you level up why you should visit the shops. So shops are like this. If you want to buy, either double click on the right side or drag on the middle right and then hit the scales to buy. Same thing works for selling too. Now for selling, another good tip I'm going to give everybody is sometimes you want to give a few items free. Depends on the value of said item. The star will raise up and you will get better prices next time you visit the said shop. That's another way to ease the shop system or make it go your way. You also repair and identify items too, which is really good. Now, when you do level up, for example, you visit the shop first at 3, and then once you get to 4, visit here because the supplies in the shops will restock. Sometimes you get rare items, so take full advantage of leveling up, then visit the shop. I'm going to go ahead and go over quests in Divinity Original Sin 1 Enhanced Edition. You could do the main story quests, however, there's certain side quests you could discover on the way, like for example the burning ship one. So you see that icon flashing on the mini-map? Well, that means we have a quest to save a ship. So we do have an extra rain scroll, so we're going to go ahead and cast the rain. Once we do that, then voila, our logs update and we get some experience points. So quest often, that is really important. Some quests will lead you to a place called the End of Time. That is a very nice hub. In the main story, you start collecting starstones. It'll open up more rooms, which is really good. My advice also is save 1 bloodstone before leaving the Seal region. There's a certain quest in the next region that will require a bloodstone. So let's talk about the next topic in this video. In Divinity Original Sin 1 Enhanced Edition, besides paying for certain companions in the Hall of Heroes, there are a total of 4 set companions. The first one is Jahan. When he starts out, he has Hydro and Air Magic. Now Medora, she has 2-handed swords. Wolfgroff, he has 2 daggers. And Veador, well, she has a bow and arrow. My advice on companions is simple. Pick the 2 you're going to use throughout the entire game. Then convert the other 2 you're not really using, turn them into mule characters, like for example crafting and blacksmithing. So I'm going to go ahead and get to the next topic of this video. I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody why you should have skill and or stat gear. So at times you're going to need to do something like for example crafting, looking for hidden items. Well, you have certain gear on you that'll help you out greatly. So I'm going to list some for certain attributes or skills gear. So here we go. You always want to have perception gear, so this way you can spot hidden things. Really useful, definitely great to put on a ranger. Charisma gear, if you want to really pass the RPS game, get some extra experience points. Blacksmithing and crafting gear for your crafting needs on your mule crafter. Lore master, if you want to make identifying items easier without paying any shops. Lockpicking, if you want to lockpick some treasure chests. Pickpocketing, if you really want to pickpocket people. So definitely use certain skills or stat gear at the right time. I'm going to go ahead and give some final advice before I do end the video. As for certain skill or attribute set gear, have at least one of each on there like I listed. Also telekinesis, forgot to list that. That's useful. Teleport is a really useful skill. Scoundrel skills like for example walk in shadows, and of course the winged feet are really good, and there's also a nice teleportation spell for the character too. Plan your leveling up ahead of time. Focus on what your characters are built for. So for example Roderick is a ranger, focus on that. If you need help making money, use my guide for that. Take your time on combat. Save your game many times as possible, especially if you're first time playing. Look for waypoints. This way you could teleport across the world of Divinity Original Sin 1 Enhanced Edition instead of taking a long walk. Abuse the environment your way. If you have any skills in, I should say at least 3 or 4 in air magic, get tornado ASAP. Craft some simple items like for example oil plus empty bottle, and then of course that'll be a bottle of oil. Combine the bottle of oil with fuse, make yourself a nice firestorm grenade. Now if an area is too tough, quest like crazy. In fact, do many side quests. They're really fun to do. Last but not least, have some serious fun with this game. Well everyone, this is it for my Don't Panic Divinity Original Sin 1 Enhanced Edition New Player Video Guide. This is Lord Fenton signing off. Thank you for watching and have a great day or night. Please stay safe. Please subscribe to my channel for more content like this. If you like what you see, then pick my suggestions on the upper left hand corner or YouTube suggestions on the bottom left hand corner. Have a great day or night and do enjoy the barbecue.